Now, people all over the world have been fascinated and frightened by legends of the undead. But is it really just a myth? Well, some say vampires are living right here among us. The existence of the living dead. It's a frightening and enduring legend that can be found in cultures all over the world where bloodthirsty demons walk the earth in search of eternal life. The vampire. It's a mystical creature that, well, it just won't die. Throughout history, these beings have taken on various shapes and traits. The most common vampire image is based on the hugely popular novel written in 1897, Bram Stoker's Dracula. Since then, vampires have continued to be the subject of some of the scariest books and horror movies ever made. The undead are usually depicted as pale white, ice-cold creatures with fangs who suck blood out of the veins of their victims. They avoid daylight by sleeping in coffins and emerge at night to bite the necks of unsuspecting women who then become vampires themselves. But they're also described as strangely appealing. Vampires are often portrayed as romantic characters by megastars like Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt, who possess superhuman strength, can hypnotize their prey, and they have the ability to change shape and disappear at will. There's just one thing a vampire can't sink his teeth into: garlic. And of course, the only way to kill the living dead is to drive a stake through its heart. Now, in this day and age, it seems impossible that anyone would believe in this nonsense. But in pop culture, vampires are making a comeback in a big way.
If you were smart, you'd stay away from me.
The blockbuster movie Twilight is setting box office records on the big screen, while HBO's True Blood is heating up the small screen.
Hi, what can I get for you tonight?
Do you have any of that synthetic bottled blood?
But vampires aren't just Tinseltown moneymakers. There's actually a vampire subculture that exists in the United States right now and spreads into almost every community in this country. Michelle Belanger is an expert on the vampire community and the author of the Psychic Vampire Codex. Needless to say, she considers herself a vampire.
There are two main types of vampires in the modern vampire community. There's psychic vampires and sanguine vampires. Sanguine vampires drink blood, and psychic vampires rely almost exclusively on vital energy.
The hard thing with the vampire community is that you're going to have people who don't want to go anywhere near a camera, because saying I drink human blood on national television is going to possibly cause their entire lives to fall apart.
Anshar Seraphim says he's a vampire too, but the energy-feeding kind.
I need to be able to draw on the energy of the people that are around me to be able to survive.
But that's not to say he hasn't dabbled in blood.
I was interested in trying it, so maybe 5-6 times in my life I have tried it, and I have had a positive experience out of it.
Teenagers especially seem to be attracted to this dramatic persona and often take on the goth look that is typical of the bloodthirsty villains in the movies. But that doesn't necessarily make them members of the vampire community.
To be honest, the vampire lifestyle isn't something that's appealing to me. The whole idea of identifying with being a vampire means that you're missing something from yourself that you need to get from other people. I guess the best thing I could liken it to is maybe diabetes, it's like spiritual diabetes.
Experts say that most members of the country's vampire subculture dress just like you and me.
There are people who identify as real vampires everywhere and in every walk of life. They could be your next door neighbors. I live in suburbia. I do not have my house draped in black crepe. There are no black flags with blood red V's waving outside. So it could be your doctor, it could be your lawyer, it could be the nurse, and trust me, she's not going to catch a snack at work. They're very ethical about those sort of things.
I know business owners, I know teachers, I know nurses, I know one doctor, I know 2 lawyers, I know an anthropologist, I know 2 psychologists, I know someone who teaches witchcraft for a living, does like instructional classes on tarot card reading and stuff like that. I know someone who, I know a couple people who design web pages for a living, people who work in government buildings, the post office.
And if that isn't scary enough, well, they can even be members of mainstream religions.
There are a number of pagan and Wiccan vampires, but there are Christian vampires, Jewish vampires, Muslim vampires, which surprised even us when they came back in the survey, as well as atheists, agnostics, and everything else in between. Just because someone's a vampire doesn't mean that they're not right there with you in the pews.
Blood-drinking, energy-stealing vampires, are they real or are they just beyond belief?